In a world that's just overflowing with information, and, a lot of conflicting information, how do you even decide what to believe? Well, today, we're diving into a new toolkit for thinking. It's one that's designed specifically to help you find some clarity in all that chaos. Let's get right into it.
All right, so let's start with the big one, the challenge we're all up against every single day. How do we make sense of this constant flood of information? I mean, with so much noise out there, how do we even begin to think about what we actually know?
Now, really, take a second and think about it. Every single day, you are just bombarded with conflicting news stories, science denial, wild conspiracy theories. So, how are you supposed to sort through all that junk to figure out what's real?
And look, this isn't just you feeling overwhelmed. It's the reality of what researchers call the post-truth condition. The sheer volume of information, both good and bad, makes it genuinely tough for pretty much anyone to tell the difference between fact and fiction.
The old ways of thinking about this stuff, they just don't cut it anymore. That idea that knowledge is absolutist, where there's only one simple right answer. Or the other extreme, that it's multiplist, where, hey, all opinions are equally valid. Both of those just fall flat in today's world. We really need a much more sophisticated approach.
So, if the old mental models are broken, what's the alternative? Well, thankfully, there's a simple but really powerful framework we can all use to build a better toolkit. And it all starts with a simple acronym, AIR.
Now, this whole approach, it falls under a bigger idea called epistemic thinking. I know, it sounds a little academic, but it's actually super simple. It just means thinking about how we know things. Getting this idea down is really the foundation for the whole AIR framework.
Okay, so here's how AR breaks down. First, you've got your aims. What are you actually trying to accomplish here? Are you just looking for a quick fact, or do you need a deep understanding of something? Next up, you need ideals. What are your standards? What does a good answer even look like? Maybe your ideal is that any conclusion has to be backed by solid evidence. And finally, you use reliable processes to get there. These are the actual methods you use, like checking a source's credentials or cross-referencing claims. And here is just a perfect example of how this plays out in the real world. Let's say you're reading a news article. Your aim is pretty straightforward. You want to form an accurate belief about what happened. Your ideal is that the story should be supported by facts, right? So what's your process? Well, you check the reporter's credentials, you search for other reliable sources that are confirming the story. See? Aims, ideals, and processes all working together. It's that simple.
Okay, so having the AIR framework in your back pocket is a fantastic first step. But the real goal is to get really good at using it. This is where we shift from just having the tools to achieving what's called apt performance.
And this is such a crucial point. It's not enough to just stumble upon the right answer by accident. How you got there is what really, truly matters.
And this idea comes from the philosopher Ernest Sosa. He calls it apt performance, which is basically success that happens because of your skill. You didn't just get lucky, you reached the right conclusion because you used reliable strategies and you used them well.
I love this analogy. It makes it so clear. Imagine you're at an archery range. Anybody can get lucky and hit a bullseye once, right? A random gust of wind, a fluke, that's success. But a skilled archer who hits the bullseye because of their training, their focus, their technique, that is apt performance. It's success you can count on.
So the big question is, how do we become that skilled archer with our thinking? Well, the research breaks down this whole apt performance thing into 5 key aspects, basically 5 habits that separate the expert thinkers from everyone else.
And as it turns out, this high-level thinking is this amazing mix of 5 different things. First is cognitive engagement. You have to actually pull out your tools and use them. Then there's adaptivity, which is all about picking the right tool for the job at hand. The third one is huge, metacognition, which is just being self-aware about your own thinking. Fourth is caring and effect. You actually have to want to find the truth. And finally, there's social engagement, because let's face it, a ton of what we learn comes from building knowledge with other people. Okay, so I know this is all fascinating theory, but let's bring it all back home. Why is building this new thinking toolkit so incredibly important right now for you?
Because this is our defense. The AIR framework and the idea of apt performance aren't just for a classroom. They are practical, everyday tools for navigating a world that, quite frankly, is often trying to mislead you. This is how we build some intellectual armor against all that misinformation out there.
And look, the stakes really could not be higher. As the researchers behind this framework put it, these skills aren't just for self-improvement. They are absolutely essential to the very functioning of democratic societies. It's about how we make decisions together and keep our societies healthy.
So,
We've laid out the tools, the aims, ideals, and processes, and the ultimate goal, which is that skilled, apt performance. The only question left is the one right here on the screen. How are you going to start using them to upgrade your own thinking?